Okay, folk. Now, this is a bit interesting. I've not heard of this game before, but I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, we have got a run of tech setup by tech. Oh, okay, right. Sorry, my bad again. It's Dragon Warrior 4 by Adelikat.
This is Tech here over the Tech Test. I don't know how I got put on the schedule. John, you have any idea how I got put on the schedule trying to play a game?
I don't know, Tech.
Hmm.
Could it be that Tech is playing a game behind the scenes?
If there's any game at all out there, the only one I know I'm playing is the one I just lost. Anyway, we have Dragon Warrior 4 coming up. Don't change that channel.
Why? We have had a $20 donation. I'm not entirely sure who it's from. I'm just getting a dash. So apologies if your name was listed. I'm afraid I don't see it. But the comment is, to enter Zenithia, you need all 4 of the Zenithia pieces of gear. But I also strongly suggest some tool assistance. Thank you, dwangoAC, Adelikat, and everyone involved in TASGiving 2021. By the way, do you think we can have Netta selling our donations in Tulun shops? I don't know what Tulun is. Is it in Dragon Warrior? Tech, help, Tech, please. Okay, right, we're ready. Let's throw it over to Dragon Warrior 4 with Adelikat. Take it away.
This is going to be Dragon Warrior 4, featuring myself, the Axeman, and here we have Adelikat. How exactly do you say your name?
It's Adelikat.
Adelikat, okay. So this is really great. I have always wanted to get a chance to sit down, even whether virtually or whatever, with Adelikat and talk about all our favorite games. And this is one of them, Dragon Warrior 4. So we're gonna watch this task and talk about it and talk about tassing and whatever. So let's get started. I'm gonna start this, and I got a timer here. Start that. All right, so we pick A, and this is the Dragon Warrior 4 task, starting with Ragnar's story, the chapters of the Chosen. So this is the first chapter. Okay, so you're saying this is extreme manipulation. How do you manipulate luck in this game?
Right, so this is one of them. This one has a very interesting RNG, and in fact, it's the only Dragon Warrior game that hasn't been, or speedrunners haven't been able to do RNG manip runs. And that's because the RNG in this game is incredibly good, I guess. It allows some of the things that affect the RNG are things like the buttons you're pushing, the frames, but it even comes down to like the number of cycles the CPU ran in a video frame.
Okay, that is pretty crazy.
As a result, there's no way to predict the RNG in this game. Of course, so the only technique for getting the luck you want is brute force.
Okay.
So this run was done using Lua scripting, and almost everything you see is scripted. I mean, some of it like getting from point A to point B, or manipulating the day-night cycle right now, as you see here. Okay, maybe I did that by hand, but a lot of the battles and level ups and all of that, we just have a script that's just running brute force until we get the result we want.
Okay.
There's no way to predict it.
Huh.
So the good news is that anything that could happen theoretically can happen in a TAS, whereas other games are, you have to balance like, well, I'd have to delay so many frames that it's not worth it, and things like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, so well, we just saw something there. This is one of my favorite parts of the run.
I saw that.
But it happened so fast.
Who got that crit?
We need a death warp.
Okay.
So why not attack yourself?
That's amazing.
Yes, you can get a critical hit on yourself.
Is there like any real reason to attack yourself in this game? You can like, if you get confused, you can attack yourself and like, well, you're not confused.
I guess you could attack other party members. Would be strategic.
Yeah.
Yourself is I guess never a good idea. Except it's great for a death warp. But it just cracks me up is to attack yourself, but also land the critical on yourself.
That is pretty awesome.
So here we're doing some errands. So we had to go meet a guy in the town to learn his name. Now that we know his name, we're taking his wife there. one thing that's interesting to note is there's not a single enemy in this chapter that has a random treasure drop of a wing of wyvern, or else we would be using those a lot to get around.
That is strange.
So unfortunately, we do have to do the walking, and that's why. But that also opens up why the death warp, the self-critical death warps are a big time saver, which is really nice.
Okay.
So this whole thing, we noticed a lot of luck manipulation that may not be obvious, which is just we haven't gotten an encounter except the one time we wanted to get one.
That's true, yeah.
And, so that'll hold true here too. Now that we know, now the guy tells us where to go get some flying shoes. One thing to note is if you go the right way in this cave, there are no encounters.
Okay.
If it says come this way, it doesn't tell you which way is this way, but if you do the right way, there are no encounters. This is the cave where we get Healy, one of the probably favorite NPCs of this game.
Oh yeah.
And necessary since Ragnar doesn't have any heal spells. Surely you would need an assistant that could heal him. But we won't be getting Healy. We don't need such things. You would have to take damage for that to matter. So we're gonna skip right on past Healy, and what we need to do is get the flying shoes, which we'll get here shortly. And right after that, we'll do another death warp. The encounter you see is the first square where there actually can be a random encounter. So since we were going the right way, all this backtracking,
I see.
There's no possibility of an encounter.
Okay.
And as soon as we get past that little path there, and there we go. And we get the perfect enemy pattern to get a self-critical and an attack, and he is dead. One thing to note too, when we talk about RNG, is we'll probably talk about the odds of some of these things happening. And so a critical is a 1 in 64 chance.
Oh.
However, that was
that
was a max damage critical. The enemy also attacked for a max damage. So I needed a max damage critical, and an enemy that could do 6 damage. So that a max damage critical in that case, I think it's 3 possible values you could get for your critical hit. So that'd put it at a 1 in 192. Plus the odds of encountering on that exact square. Plus it needed to be a certain enemy formation, right? If there's 2 different types of enemies, you waste all that time of it showing you, hey, this enemy and this enemy, that whopping 40 frames or whatever. But that's critical, right? We want to save all the frames.
Okay.
So we string all that together. Here we got a few errands to run in this. Here we're going to get a wing of wyvern. They're the only one in the whole chapter, but we're also going to get the sword of malice, a very powerful weapon, and that'll speed along the final boss fight. If you notice, we have still not successfully killed anything, so we're still at level 1.
Yeah,
in a speed run strats, I would not recommend doing this upcoming battle at level 1.
Yeah, Ragnar is, one of the stronger characters, at least physically, but level 1 is so weak.
Yeah. Don't try this at home.
You didn't actually equip the Sword of Malice yet, did you?
Nope, because if you equip it in battle, it saves a little bit extra time.
That makes sense.
A little less menuing. So here you'll see the fast equip, and then the attack. They miss. He gets critical.
Okay.
They miss. Critical.
So what are the odds for the enemies to miss in most cases?
It seems to be about 1 in 64, but I don't know the exact odds. But just from the brute forcing, seems about as often as a critical. But also these are high damage criticals.
Oh.
And then we finished off with a regular. So just getting a critical wasn't enough. I had to get... They didn't all have to be max damage, but most did, and some needed to be near max damage in order to get the minimum number of rounds.
Okay. So what's the difference between max damage and like regular crits? What's the range in there?
So the range, it's just like a regular hit in terms of variance, but then they just subtract the, I forget the formula, like the defense of the enemy is taken out, and then it's your strength. I forget the formula, but it's still, there's that variance, just like a regular attack of how much damage it can do. Okay. And unfortunately, the stronger you are, the more variance there tends to be, so there's more
That makes sense.
It's even more unlikely if you need a max damage.
So
All right, so we
shoes.
saved the children, which yay. To get out, we kind of whipped back in to get out quicker.
Oh, but since you didn't have Wing of the Wyvern,
Right.
you couldn't.
So
if
we
you had
do
the Wing of
this
the Wyvern,
little-
you could just go
yeah.
straight to town.
Right. But we do have one wing, which we'll use now. It's faster to use it to get from this town back home than it was from the tower to the town.
That makes sense.
We had to use it at the most opportune time, since we only get one in the whole chapter.
Wow.
Now, the king's going to give us a lot of unwanted experience, which we'll have to take. One thing you'll notice is in the level ups, we try not to get stats like luck. Well, we don't need luck. We make our own luck.
Yeah.
Intelligence. What does Ragnar need intelligence for? But even more interestingly, here you'll see we're not going to get very good strength or HP either. The things you think you would want from Ragnar, and that is because we want to get through this quicker. But also we want Ragnar to have low HP.
I see.
because
you're not
we
even
won't-
going to use him, are you?
We don't need Ragnar later.
Yeah.
Yes, he's one of the best characters in the game, but we don't need him. We got other plans.
Nice.
So here, you'll notice we're getting strength, HP, and vitality.
Okay.
Those aren't so easy to manipulate away. When we have more time, we should probably talk about an improvement. It is actually possible to get no strength on some of those levels, I've discovered
Okay.
since this task, but it's a
Oh, wow.
1 in 1,024. Now, why would they give you a 1 in 1,024 of not getting any strength on your strength character? I don't know, but this game, everything that can be random is random and has some incredibly unlikely thing for some
That's
reason.
pretty random, yeah.
I think it's just to make my life miserable. That's what I decided. All right, so
So-
that was chapter 1. Now we're going
Okay.
into chapter 2, where we have Elena, the princess, and her companions. Early on here, we'll just be doing some errands. The king doesn't want this poor princess to go out of the castle, so we have to do some things to sneak out. In order for all this to happen, we got to talk to some key characters here, and then we'll break a door and sneak out. Elena is an interesting character in that her critical hits, she has a 1 your level divided by 256 chance of getting a critical.
Oh, okay. So wait, your luck
So-
stat doesn't actually matter for crits? None of your stats?
Nope.
It's just your level.
So as she levels up, she'll have more likely to
okay.
get critical
But that's not
hits.
true for other characters.
But that means at level 1, she's actually less likely. It's a 1 in 256 chance.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
here we're gonna kick a wall, and we're gonna try to sneak out, but her companions are gonna find her and catch up with her, which is an unfortunate decision for them.
Yeah.
It would have been best if they had stayed home. We'll see shortly. Because her companions are Christo and Bray. Bray, arguably the most useless character in the whole
Yeah.
game, and Christo is frustratingly not good. But we won't need them in the end game, and we won't need them here because they just slow us down. All that leveling up when we do battles, we don't need that stuff. So they're going to meet an unfortunate fate, and they're going to stay that way for the rest of the chapter. But coming into this fight, this is one of the most unlikely things in the entire task, is this fight. Because not only are we going to be getting a lot of criticals at a 1 and 256, we're going to get a lot of misses, but it's a 3-on-3 battle where a very specific battle order has to be manipulated every time. Also, we get a great pun here.
Don't litter
Here
the
we go.
litter.
Don't litter the litter. Here we
Yeah.
go. Don't ever litter the litter. Good job.
So when this game came out, Alina was so awesome because you had she's like the strongest female character in like one of NES RPGs, because you didn't have women like that back then.
Yeah.
It's hard to maybe it's hard to understand now at our modern RPGs.
Right.
You have girls everywhere, but
Innovative there. All right, so we're going to see here a very specific order has to happen for this battle to go as quick as possible. Bray's useful there. Notice he landed a nice bolt. Very nice.
yeah.
And Christo with a critical. Lena with a critical. And Bray with another ice bolt. He's being useful. But he's dead now. And oh, look at that, Christo died too. And Elena wins. And now we don't have to. We'll see some level ups for Elena. These stats actually do matter, which is we'll want some. We need strength, agility. We'll need a minimum amount of agility for being able to even go first. So if your agility's too low, you can't even go first against certain enemies.
Oh.
And there's some luck we don't need, and some HP that we actually won't need either.
Does luck actually do anything?
It does, but nothing we can't do ourselves, right? We could just say, well, if you don't want a stop spell, if you don't want it to land, then just manipulate it to not land. It'll just it means more brute force spotting, but we save time by not having the stat.
I see. Okay.
One interesting thing is it's better to get 0 of a stat you don't need, because then it doesn't show on the screen.
Right.
But 1 is better than 2, because it'll say 1 point instead of 2 points, and you save a whole frame on that S.
Oh, I see. Nice.
Now, if you have to wait a frame to save that frame, then it doesn't matter. Here, you'll see buying a lot of Wing of Wyverns, since they actually are in this chapter. We'll make good use of them to hop around. So now with our with her dead friends, we're gonna do a lot of errands here, which means we could talk more. We got some downtime. We could talk more about luck manipulation and take a few breaks. I'm
also interested in hearing what you were saying about a new version with even better luck manipulation. Yep. So
there are some flaws in this. I would say the ones that I've discovered since doing this TAS were, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, not a lot. I expect to save maybe 40-50 seconds on a 2-hour TAS. But to do so, I'm going to have to do even more unlikely things. So more brute force. So the way I did the scripts for this would be interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
And that'll lead into how I'm improving it. So a lot of the scripts, since it is all brute force, one thing that you can do is certain input frames, if you push random buttons, it'll actually change the RNG. So you can delay frames. So if you want to attack and you delay a couple frames, that could get you a critical hit. But also, if as you're menuing through things, almost any button advances the menu. So which button you're pushing could also affect the RNG. So it's a combination of buttons and delays. Well, we don't want delays if possible, right? But given how unlikely these things are, we're going to have a few. The goal in this TAS was to get to where you don't notice it. So anything more than, let's say, 6 frames I found unacceptable. Manipulated encounter here to get a quick death. It had to be that enemy. That was the fastest choice. And it had to be just that enemy group, but there could be 1 or 2. But that's an incredibly unlikely scenario on your first encounter square to get the exact enemy pattern you need for the quick kill.
So anyway, did you have to talk to the people with the bracelet?
We'll get there. We're just gonna do a few. We're kind of doing things in a slightly faster order.
Oh, interesting.
So here we're gonna go ahead and talk to this guy. That kind of advances some things. And the reason we're doing that is because we gotta talk to them at night. So that walk to town there was advancing the day-night cycle for us, so that we have less of a walk now. In the improvement, there's some other stylistic things I do. Like here, I'm walking around kind of randomly, whereas in the improvement, I specifically walk on the hills, which has a higher encounter rate, just for the swag of being able to do so. Yeah, so the bot, the way I did it with the brute force bot is I would kind of basically script out an entire battle, where it's going to push this button, then it's going to wait this long and push this button, and then at each point where it could push a random button, it does. And each place it could delay to change the RNG, it does. And then I would put like a maximum number of frames of delay, let's say 100. And then what it would do is it would use those frames accordingly until it gets a good result. And once it got a good result, how many frames delayed, that's the new max. And so it would go again. And so I'd have a script that would run, and it would keep reporting to me, now we're down to 80, 40, 20, 10. And then, you get to a point where it's just kind of a judgment call if it's going to find anything faster. You're down to like a 2-frame total delay, and it's been running for a day, and you're at 250,000 iterations on something that should take, it's like 1 in 1,000 or something.
Okay.
You get to the point where you're like, yeah, I got to call it. That's a good outcome.
Okay. So
And
if there's
so
only
all
2
of these-
frames, though, there's not that many iterations. I mean, once you get down to just 1 or 2 frames.
There's only so many possibilities because the buttons only get you so far. In fact, most frames are what we call lag frames
Okay.
in the battle. So there's very few frames you can even push buttons to make any difference. And so the scripts account for that and push buttons at the correct times. Also, entire rounds are actually on a 1 in 256 RNG and a 1 byte RNG, whereas at the beginning of the round you can manipulate the second byte of the RNG, which will give you the 1 in 65k possible outcomes. And so a lot of the strategies here are about doing manipulating things at times where you can get both bytes. But some of these things are so unlikely that even with both bytes, that only gives you a 1 in 65, only 65,000 possibilities, and some of the manipulations here are actually more unlikely than that.
Oh, wow.
So there may not be good frames to even get the outcome you're looking for. So we'll say each battle in this entire task has a separate script and is handwritten.
Oh, wow.
It was painstaking, but that's how I got the best results for, because each battle has slightly different things you're going to do. Now here, we went back to the king, little plot. The king says, okay, fine, you can go, but Christo, keep her safe. It's funny because he's dead. But here, we're now in a place that has metal babbles. And one of the things we're going to need to do is do a fight, and we're going to want an iron claw and some levels. Well, here we manipulated a skeleton, not a metal babble. And with the skeleton, why are we doing that? And we'll see real shortly. Skeletons drop iron claws, so there we go. Now we have our iron claw for the upcoming battle. And we get a whopping 1 level. But good news, that's all we need. So we're going to skip getting metal babbles and getting high levels because level 5, that'll be good enough. So this is a situation where... Oh, that's interesting too, is that it's nighttime.
Oh.
And we have to say an in to do the fight.
Oh,
It
so
is
you're able to get
actually possible to manipulate so that it's daytime, but we don't want to do that. And that's because Chapter 3 is the only chapter that does this. It doesn't reset the day-night counter.
Oh.
So we actually have to manipulate the day-night cycle that we'll need in Chapter 3.
Okay.
That was not fun to figure out.
Ah, that is interesting.
That included doing a lot of more of this task, learning that, saying some choice words, and then having to redo an awful lot of it.
That's what it's like, tasking some of these games, especially when you want to get it perfect. And
yeah, that kind of sums up tasking for those interested. All right, so here we got to go through a series of battles without dying. We have our iron claw. No, again, we didn't equip it. We're going to wait till battle because it's slightly faster. And we're going to see that the enemies just somehow never hit Elena, and Elena keeps getting criticals.
Did you avoid some dialogue by having your characters dead here?
I can't remember, but that might be true. No, I think she talks to him anyway.
Okay. She turned around, but I don't think there was any dialogue.
Yeah, that actually, now you think, yeah. It's been a while, so I forgot, but I think so.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I played it where they were alive.
Yeah.
So here we're going to get some criticals. The opponent is going to go first sometimes. In some cases because it doesn't matter because we have a second round anyway. In other cases is that it isn't possible to manipulate a 1 round because we're so low level. But to go get a higher level would cost more time leveling than we would save. So And that's also the case here if we went out and got a metal slime fight and got another 5 levels. This would go faster, but not so much faster. That would save time. Plus, we don't want those levels for Chapter 5 because, we won't be needing Elena later.
No.
Yes, she's one of the best characters in the game, but we can do without her.
Awesome.
So Ragnar, don't need him. Bray, Christo, don't need him. Elena, don't need her. Alright, so now we get to the Lingwar fight. It's one of the most annoying ones when it's not a Taz.
Yeah,
because he splits into 4, and you got a 1 in 4 shot at hitting him.
Don't even know. Yeah.
This is the one where everyone wants save states for this fight.
There's no cue at all to tell like which one is real?
Nope. Now
Wow.
there is an imperfection there. And these are the things that maybe I would notice that no one else would, which was Lingwar C, which would mean
Okay.
I'd have to advance down to pick it, which is a total of 4 frames. So if it had been A to begin with, I would have saved 4 frames.
Oh, I see.
So when I'm redoing it, that's the level of redoing
Those
it. that I'm
4
doing.
frames.
Yeah, so not just getting the initiative and a critical, I also need it to be Lingwar A.
That's awesome.
The level of detail, it's amazing how much RNG possibilities there are in this game. That there's so many unlikely things that could happen, and then there's a way of doing them. So, I don't know, to get this perfect might be the amount of botting. Hold on. One of my favorite things here is the Wing of Wyvern, to leave quicker to end the chapter.
She didn't even
That's-
go.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
human. That can be done by a human. There's nothing
Okay.
hard about that, but I really enjoyed that. It was a fun
Bye.
trick. So to do this perfect might be the amount of botting that might exceed like one's life expectancy. We're getting into that kind of territory where it's just years of running a bot, which I'll probably do, because I'm a masochist. I can't let it go. I see things that could be better. So there we start. This is everyone's favorite chapter. This is capitalism. We got Taloon, and he's gonna go make a bunch of money, but he starts by getting handed lunch by his wife, and then he proceeds to throw the lunch away and take off his clothes and then leave town and skip work.
What
Like
a
you
great
do.
guy.
So we get an early slime encounter here, a critical hit for a whole 4 damage. Not even enough to kill a slime. And we get 1 point, but more importantly, a broadsword. Look at
Oh,
that.
what? How nice.
So that's an incredibly unlikely drop, especially before level 4, I believe. They get slightly more likely.
Okay.
But that broadsword gives us some starting cash. We ran into a random merchant, which can happen in this chapter. We sell the broadsword. And why? Because we're going to get an awful lot of winged wyverns. So what's going to be coming up in the next few minutes is a lot of running errands. So maybe this is a good time for a break.
Sure. Yeah. We can. We'll call this a donation / announcement break. Give it about 2 minutes or so.
Alright, folk, I'm afraid there's no donations to read at this time, but you can fix that. Got 2 minutes, so get those donations coming in, and I'll say something silly. As long as it's not too silly. Alright, fine, it can be as silly as you like. Silly, silly, silly. This is what happens when tech isn't here to hold me back.
Okay, we can get back to it.
All right. So the point of this chapter is that Talon needs to run a bunch of errands, but ultimately he wants to buy a shop, which will cost 35,000 gold.
Okay.
There is a statue that you can find that's worth 25,000. So this early part of the TAS is about how can we efficiently raise that other 10,000. One of the things that will happen, the town we were just in, there is an armor shop that you can haggle with to sell armor, and you could sell it for anywhere from half its value to its full value. Or, and again, the game programmed an incredibly unlikely thing, is you could get a critical hit, which is either a 1 in 64 or 1 in 256. It's something, one of those. And you could get anywhere from full price to double price.
That's awesome.
So, one of the most unlikely things in the entire task is coming up is that haggling, where we are going to sell 3 pieces of armor, all at a max damage critical, which is even more unlikely. So the odds of getting the full double price is somewhere in the 1 in 2,000, 4,000, and we got to do this 3 times. Though we do get a break. One of them can be for 1 increment less than full.
Oh.
I think it's in increments of like 16 gold, and we can sell it for a whopping 16 less and still get our money. So we get that tiny bit of leeway. There is a visible flaw there where at least once or maybe twice they give us a poor offer, we say no and try again and get the good offer. That was the best I could do, but I think this is one of those cases where it all has to be done in one shot, and the odds of that are much more unlikely than 1 in 65,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, I got what I got. Now, this is also where we're talking about me improving it. This is where I got stuck in the improvement because I just couldn't let that go. So I got stuck on the insistence that I was going to get it all in one shot with no haggling. It was just going to be a max offer every time, which will save, several seconds. So yes, I should spend, months spotting that for a couple seconds.
Okay.
All right, so here we're going to go get that statue. Along the way, we are going to run into a metal slime because we do need some levels. We're going to have to kill some things. Ironically, the most fights in the early chapters is in the capitalism chapter, where fights are less needed.
Huh.
We're going to get some strategic treasures as well, like a wing of wyvern, because that's faster than buying one, and we need lots of those. And
so
we're going to get some armor.
We don't need Ragnar, we don't need Alina, Bray, or Christo, but Talon is someone we need.
Talon, we're going to level up, and when we do this, the main stat, of course, we need some strength. And it turns out we actually need some HP.
Oh.
And in about an hour and a half, we'll explain that.
Okay.
This is some planning for something that happens, toward the end. All right. So yeah, we got to push that button. I think that unfloods the area, something like that. And then we're about to get our metal slime. Right about here, I think. Yeah, here we go. It doesn't really matter when, as long as it's on the path. Metal slime misses. We critical, and we get a bunch of experience. Can't go first. He's level 1. He doesn't have the agility.
Okay.
Yeah, your agility has to be something like 25% of the enemies or something.
Okay.
So we'll see here, we're actually making an effort to get decent stats. But we're making sure not to get any luck or intelligence. Intelligence is only for magic users, and luck...
Who needs intelligence?
Who needs luck?
Yeah. Wait, does intelligence actually do anything in this game?
How much MP you get. And since he doesn't have MP, it's not necessary, but the game still lets you gain intelligence for some reason, even though it doesn't do anything.
Interesting. Okay, so intelligence is kind of like similar to vitality, but for MP.
Exactly.
Okay.
So here you'll see some noticeable delays. There's not much you can do in level gaining in terms of pushing buttons to change the RNG. So mostly it's the delays that give you what you need.
Is it all lag when text is going by?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And there is a little bit of button manipulation you can do because you can push A or B to advance the text. And sometimes pushing A or B changes the RNG a little bit. Sometimes.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's inflexible to things other than delays, so you'll actually notice the delays there. Throughout this run, there are delays, but they're like 1 or 2 frames on each action, so it's hard to catch, with the eye unassisted. All right, so we got all the treasure we want, except now that we have the silver statue, and now we're going to get in another metal babble counter, and we're going to get a critical on ourselves and die.
Did it have to be a metal babble? Like, was there any reason why?
Metal babble
or metal slime?
Well, style. Those style points.
Okay.
All right, so here is the unlikely part. By the way, we still have the dog. We were supposed to turn that dog in a while ago, but who turns in the dog?
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep him.
He's a good dog, I guess.
Yes. So here we go. 46. That's the max that That's double the price of a full plate. 23.81. 24 is the max. So that was one less than max. Here, there's the noticeable flaw is he gives a bad offer. A normal offer, I should say, and then he gives an insane offer. We take it. At this point, I don't know if we could see, but we have about 10,000 and some change gold. But we're going to get an encounter here, and we're going to attack an enemy, and we're going to get a broadsword, and we'll see why shortly.
Now, are there any other drops? Because the enemies, that's one of the weird things.
Oh yeah, there's
chapter,
about 14 drops, so to get that, you not only have to manipulate a drop, which in this chapter is pretty good.
Okay.
The loon gets drops pretty easily. But then it has to be that specific item out of 14 different items.
Oh, wow.
And the big ones are half plate and broadsword, which are...
Okay.
There we go, look. So we bought a wing, another wing. We have a whole 7 gold to spare.
Oh.
So, because that's 10,000, then we're going to sell the statue to get 25 more. That's 35. And we'll be down to 7 after we buy the shop. Now, the next thing is we'll need 60,000 to build a tunnel, and the speedrun strats here are to, once you get a shop, your wife is actually an incredible salesman, and you just buy things, give it to her, sleep, and come back, and she'll have sold it, and you can get insane amounts of gold. She's the real merchant of the chapter. But what we're gonna do here to get to do it is you'll get 60k if you fulfill the king's promise, which we'll see shortly, the king's promise. But right now we're also we're gonna get some more broadswords. So what he wants is for you to give him 7 broadswords and 7 half plates, and he'll fulfill the request. You can buy those items, so usually you'll use your shop to get up enough money, go buy them, come back, give them to him. But what we're gonna do is just manipulate 7 broadswords and 7 half plate, and then we'll be done.
Oh.
This level was probably the hardest for routing, and here's another time saver: is that we're going to go ahead and get all the broadswords now, so that when we go talk to them, we're right there to deliver them, and we don't have to have another trip back in.
Okay.
Also, it saves about 40 frames if they are exactly 7 broadswords and exactly 7 half plate.
Oh.
Because when you deliver them, he says your remaining order. So let's say you deliver 3 half plates, say, well, there's 4 half plate, 7 broadswords. Well, if you deliver 7, he'll just say the 7 half plate. So that one line of text you save at the expense of it being even more likely to get the drops you need. So again, more pain and suffering equals marginal time saves.
And you did that first before actually getting the shop. That's just like
right.
For routing?
Yeah, because when you turn it in, it's in the castle, so
okay.
That saves a trip. Otherwise you'd have to come back into the castle again. It'd be 3 total trips. This turns it into 2 trips.
Okay.
So it saves a little time because we know what the king's going to ask. So we go ahead and get as much of the order ready. Now we only have 8 item slots, so that's why we can't get the entire order in one trip.
Okay.
So here, we drop them off with these guys here, and you'll see after we drop them off, it'll just say
7 broadswords.
right here.
The rest of the
And
order
it'll say
is...
remaining order 7 half plate. So if we had done a mix, it would have said broadswords then half plate, and that amount of text adds up to maybe 40 frames.
Okay.
So we save a little time by making sure we get the exact one. Also, if you notice, we're on plains tiles, and we are getting encounters every maybe 2-3 squares. This is not normal.
Oh, yeah.
Though this is another visible, improvable thing. Theoretically, we get one on every square.
Yeah, you took 2 steps. What's with that?
Yeah, so that's wasting valuable frames there. So not only that, but we have to manipulate to get exactly 1 enemy, right? Because that's faster, and then we also have to manipulate the exact drop. So the combination of all those things is incredibly unlikely. And one thing,
wow.
You watch this long enough, you'll start to get really complacent with really incredibly unlikely things being and then we just do that
with no delay either.
Right. So you can tell no visible delays, everything's just really smoothly scrolling. And I've lost count, but I think we're getting close to the 7. And we got one more little time saver coming up. You'll see here is we will need a wing of wyvern. And we have 7, so we have space for 1. But to buy one would take time compared to what we're about to do. So not only do we need to manipulate all of those unlikely events, we got one more.
And you get the merchant.
And we got a shop. By the way, that is an unlikely encounter as well. They happen from time to time, but it's much more likely you'll encounter an enemy. So that was an unlikely encounter, but that saves him from having to walk over to the item shop. So again, maybe saves a couple seconds by doing something insanely unlikely. So now we drop off the remaining weapons. We're going to get our 60,000 gold. Capitalism. We are rich. And we're going to use that wing to save a little time. We got to walk over to this guy who's building a tunnel. Now normally you'd go talk to him and he says he's going to build a tunnel and you need 60k, but you know, we know all that, so
yeah,
we're going to go ahead and get everything ready.
Take my money.
Now if someone's promising you they'll build a tunnel under a river for 60,000 gold, it's probably a scam. Don't do it. This guy does follow through on his promise, though.
Nice.
Now, that was necessary. We do have to talk to him again to see how progress is going, so we did have to leave and re-enter to get that dialogue.
It's always fun to find all these triggers here. It can sometimes be... Yeah.
So then when you go home, it's like, oh, well, he's still not ready. Maybe go gamble for a while, and you have to go to the casino. Wouldn't be a capitalism chapter without required gambling. And so we go here to the casino, but all we needed to do was go in, so we leave. Kind of a shame we don't have to gamble, because we could win all the money we wanted very easily in a TAS.
But we didn't actually, talk to our wife, because she's the one that says...
Now, by the time we talk to her again, it's, hey, I'm leaving. And she says, I understand. Very understanding wife here.
But, yeah, what a great wife.
She packed a lunch and we threw it away. We don't see her again until it's, hey, run the shop, and then it's the next encounter is, hey,
I'm going off on a journey with the hero. I hope you don't mind, honey. Mind the shop, please.
And we finished the chapter with the dog.
I'm taking the dog with me too.
Even takes the dog with me. Alright, so now chapter 4, we're going to have a lot of downtime here. We've got Mara and Nara, who are 2 spell casting characters. The plot of this chapter is we need to beat a boss, but there's a very powerful NPC that can help us. And I'll say that we don't need Mara and Nara later either, even though they're very useful. Well, Mara is a very useful character. We won't need her. So this will be low level, and there will be some death. And that's about it. So we could probably take a break coming up soon here, because most of this you'll see is manipulating no encounters, getting a strategic death warp and a few items, and then we'll get to the boss. As we get to the boss, we definitely have some fun things to talk about.
Okay. Well, maybe we could, I could ask you about some of your other tasks. Like, what are your other favorite tasks that you've made?
Oh, man. Well, there's Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I'm
Okay.
no longer the record holder on that one, but that is my favorite game, and I used to speedrun it. It's the only game I used to speedrun. So it's actually what got me into tasking in the first place, is that a lot of the strategies in that game are very unlikely. And I wanted to make some demonstrations of those strategies, like, hey, if everything goes right, you could do this. And so I was looking like, well, how can I record something so unlikely? I need save states, and I need some way to record input. And that led me to task videos. I'm like, oh, you can do that. Look at this. This is amazing. And what I thought would just be some demo videos turned into making a task, which turned into more tasks, which turned into a lot more tasks, and then, running the website.
Cool.
And a lot more tasks later. So that turned into a lifetime sinkhole of time.
Tell me about it.
And I thought I was just going to do a couple demo videos.
We get it. Yeah, it's been about the same story for me. I got into a few different games, and then I thought, wait a minute, we could do this for like a really cool RPG.
Yeah, I remember that. So the first time I did a TAS actually one of the first ones I tried in 2004 was Dragon Warrior 4 with Fantasia. I did not get very far to find out that wasn't going to happen with this game. For those that don't know, it had very minimal features. It was very painful to get anything optimized, and getting this many critical hits was just not going to happen. So in 2006, when we had FCEU, that's when I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to try that again. And I remember that's the first time we talked on IRC. You were one of the first people I talked to on IRC, because I didn't know what that was prior to getting into this stuff. And you were doing your Final Fantasy task, or was it Dragon Warrior 2? One of those.
One of them, yeah.
And I was doing Dragon Warrior 4. That's the first conversations we had were about these NES RPGs.
Yeah, there was there weren't that many people doing, tasks back then. It was, so it was interesting to see, someone else is doing this.
Especially the RPG tasks. I mean, we were the few crazy enough to go down this rabbit hole. I mean, these are not easy to do.
No.
But yeah, an exercise in luck manipulation.
Yeah.
That right there, we encountered that. We went into that castle, by the way. That gives you your return point, so we can do Wings of Wyvern later.
So all you have to do is go inside.
Yeah.
For the Wing of the Wyvern return point, right?
Yeah. So so you'll see some things like that. Just a little time saver. Again, that's a human achievable one.
Oh yeah.
The first one I did, the first iteration of doing this was very crude, lots of noticeable delays, and then I think I figured out at some point during that you could push buttons and it would change luck. So then by hand I did another one where I did that to reduce frames more, found some more time savers.
Okay.
But I want to say those first ones were maybe 100,000 re-records each of just me pushing buttons and waiting frames and hoping for the best.
Wow.
So this one was a huge improvement to those, and probably I want to say 10-20 minutes, some very large amount, but more importantly because using scripting and programming the brute force bots, we were able to do many thousands of iterations very quickly, which you would think saves time, but that just means you get to do more unlikely things, which means you have to bot more, and it takes longer.
Yeah.
But most of it is sitting there watching a bot do the work. So.
I love how we use this gunpowder jar and just in the middle of the castle.
And my favorite is then you have to stay away so that he doesn't see you. And just for style points here, we get as close as we can and do be as intrusive as possible, and he still doesn't notice it. So that's another thing about a TAS, is if you can show off a little, yeah, you should probably show off a little.
Oh yeah.
And so here we're going to encounter the boss of this chapter, which is Balzac. And I don't know why everyone's giggling right now, but we are going to encounter Balzac. But don't worry, we actually will encounter Balzac again. There are 2 in this game. Here, we killed off Nara. We can't kill off Mara as well, or we would. But if we do, if your NPC is the only one alive, that's considered being your party's wiped out.
Yeah.
So one of them had to stay alive, so we picked Mara for no particular reason. So Mara gets some level ups. What we do in these level ups is, if you notice, we're getting bad level ups because we don't want them. If we could get no levels, that would be ideal.
Okay.
We won't be utilizing any of these stats later in the game.
So Mara's like sap spell, or the
Yeah,
some
some spells can be delayed indefinitely, and some are definitely at a certain level. Okay, so here is a forced fight that you cannot win, but that's good. We want to die as quick as possible, so we are dead. Being low level, that was a very easy manipulation. This overpowered enemy comes and kills you off. The funny thing is, if you do use cheats, you can theoretically beat that boss, but if you do, you still die.
Oh.
It's required that he kill you, and then plot point, Orin goes and fights off people, to save the 2 of them. He sacrifices himself. So he did all the work. They did no leveling, no fighting. And he beat the boss and then sacrifices himself because they're the chosen ones. And then they will proceed to get nothing accomplished in order to finish the game.
Nice. So the other thing I was wondering about in this chapter is the silver tarot cards.
Well, those are they're not useful against Balzac because it's such a fast fight. Could they be useful later in the game? Yes, except for the part where you don't get to control the characters. This game gave you that wonderful innovation that they kind of do stuff on their own. You only control the hero, and Nara just won't use them. But if she could, theoretically, there are useful applications. But it turns out we got a faster way. Even if we could control them, we got some better stuff.
Oh.
So we got some stuff in store for Chapter 5, and you'll see that isn't necessary. I think early iterations, like the first one I did of this game, not knowing the full route I was going to do, I think I did pick them up, figuring they would come in handy, and they didn't. Alright, so they're sailing away to Endor. We haven't been talking much about the plot, but all the characters have ended up in Endor. Almost as if they're destined to be there and possibly meet. Unfortunately, we do have to watch as this boat sails all the way there. There's no skipping this part.
The ship music is... Every Dragon Warrior has like its own ship music, but it's always kind of, this interesting sailing.
So Chapter 5 there's kind of 2 parts to Chapter 5. First part is getting all the characters to unite together and be one big 8-character party, and then the other half will just be finding the Zenithian, I think I pronounced that correctly, equipment. The hero needs to wear all 4 pieces of equipment: sword, helmet, armor, shield, to enter the Castle of the Dragon, I believe, in order to advance the game to get to the final boss. So this first step, we will just start collecting characters. Here, plot point is we got to talk to the minimum people necessary for the bad guys to show up, and the bad guys are going to show up and take out the entire town because they want to kill off the hero.
Oh no!
Oh no!
So about Dragon, I was wondering how many of the Dragon Warrior games you've played, or Dragon Quest now.
The first 4 extensively. I've beat all of them many times, and I love all of them. with some exception to 2, which is just because, well,
2 is
that
pretty
final,
brutal.
just the end. Get
Oh,
up to
yeah.
that final cave and just stop. That's if you want to play that game. And then I played a little bit of 5, I believe, but did never finish it. So it's kind of on my to-do list. And I've seen Dragon Quest XI. That's a pretty good game. It's like,
Yeah.
it's on my to-do list to play that.
Okay. Yeah, they all have their charms.
Now my personal favorite is 3.
Okay.
But I don't have any TASs of that one for the very unfortunate fact that the RNG only changes when you use it, which from a TAS perspective is very unfortunate. There's very
Yeah.
little you could do. If it had the same RNG as this game, there's some pretty incredible things you could do, and the TAS would be probably a third of the speed that it is today. The unglitched one, that is.
Oh, yeah.
So I could never bring myself to do something where there's so many things I know I could do, but I won't be able to. I've never brought myself to make a task of that. Here, you could randomly get 2,000 coins for the casino,
Okay.
but we don't, because we don't need it. And I think the first task I did get the 2,000 coins.
Oh. So what did you need
And
the
the
coins for?
fun fact is because I didn't manipulate it. I just happened to get it on my first attempt walking
Oh.
through there. So I was like, gotta keep them and see what happens.
It's always pretty fun.
But yeah, it turns out even stuff there you don't really need. Here we're selling off some things we don't need, like armor. Who needs that? To get some wings, which are very useful items. And then we got to rejoin with Mara and Nara here. One unfortunate thing is every time you meet a character, there's that very long music.
Oh, yeah. No, but it's totally this is in every Dragon Quest game, so it's you have to have.
It's got to be
the
a big
music.
event, and it
That's
has to be
right.
unskippable.
Yeah. And it's a Japanese thing too. Like Nakama is it's a major deal.
Yeah, I mean, you just united party members, so. And of course, no matter how many times you play this, you need to hear it in full, so you cannot skip it.
Oh yeah.
And then we go find Mara. She was over here gambling. Looks like she may have a gambling problem. That's okay.
All that money that we had at the end of their chapter is gone. Oh no.
So in normal playing of this game, this is where you have a very low-level hero and some high-level helpers. So you'd go out and start fighting some things, build up some gold, get them some good weapons. We're going to skip all that and go to this cave that requires all 3 of them to get through. And there's going to be some forced encounters in here. And if you were to attempt them at level 1 and under normal circumstance, you would die very, very quickly. We're going to see here we're going to successfully pull off those fights.
Yeah, so you need to have all 3 characters to break that block.
Right.
The hero clearly can't just by himself, but if he's got 2 girls with him.
Yes, then they clearly can break an entire boulder.
Yep.
Oh no! They fell through a hole. So now he's stuck because he doesn't have them. But don't worry, they're right there. Let's just go catch up with them, and then we'll continue on our journey. Oh no, it was a trap! And then we're going to fight 2 Lick-Licks. Again, I don't know why everyone's giggling. Here we, get some critical hits. The enemies miss. This is all, again, incredibly unlikely sequence.
That happens as if nothing ordinary, just hitting the button over and over again.
So here we're going to get some actually good stats because we'll need the hero for a while at least. And then there they are. Okay, now we can go back to our journey. Oh no, it was another trap. Now this is a particularly difficult fight, but look at that, Expel.
Oh, Expel
so we learned
is pretty
Expel,
nice.
and then 2 of the enemies are vulnerable to it, so we knock those 2 out. And then we have to just take care of these. And again, critical hits and enemies miss, and you'll notice that you don't really generally need HP so much if the enemies can just never hit you. And I think for the entire TAS, every forced encounter you can manipulate the enemy to try to attack and miss. So the only reason you would need HP is for damage tiles.
Okay.
Here we're getting some strength and agility. Those are useful. HP, we actually don't want a lot of HP.
Okay. Even on the hero?
Even on the hero. Hero learns return. That'll be useful. That'll save us from having to buy so many wings of wyvern. We can just cast return and go about. Here you have to answer the correct question. Fortunately it's a yes-no, so it's a 50-50. But even if you get it wrong, they'll just ask again.
It's a but thou must situation.
Yes. A but thou must.
Yes, that's right.
Alright. If we wanted to, we could probably take maybe a 1-minute break here. We're just going to get a statue. We're going to go talk to an NPC and get a horse and carriage and walk about for a little bit.
Okay. We'll take like a minute and a half here.
Sounds good.
Okie doke, we have a $10 donation from AngelWind who says to all the lurkers out there, thanks for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed TASGiving and hope to see you all again for more RTA and TAS runs. We also had some very witty discussion in the Twitch chat, which I'm not going to read for you.
Okay, and now that we get the wagon, we get like the different outside music. Well, I guess the outside music changes depending on who you have.
Exactly. So this is not much we can do here, but one thing that I do here is I guess I don't. Never mind.
We never need to come back to that
some places
town.
I mess with the characters if you walk around the mountains a certain way.
Oh yeah.
Kind of silly looking things, which
you got to do stuff like that.
Doesn't cost or save any time, but you know, just make it more visually entertaining. Now the plot point here is that Tulum is here, and he's acquired a boat since we last saw him. I don't know how he got one of those, but he can't sail it because the lighthouse is broken. And there's a evil monster up there. So he's gonna ask us to help. And if you're playing this for the first time, this is when you realize, wait, we're gonna have more than 4 characters. Well, how are we gonna do that?
It's a good thing we've got a wagon.
Now we agreed to help him. And he talks a lot. And of course, does he help us? No. He leaves us to go fight him.
Oh, great.
If we defeat this boss, Tulum will join us, and he has a boat, which is useful. We are now at the point where we need a boat to get, any further. Again, things we get complacent in. There are random encounters in these places. It's incredibly unlikely to get through without an encounter, but we do that seamlessly. This is one of the easier things to manipulate because of a mechanic, actually, which is like if you hold up and then you start pushing up and right or up and left, it doesn't actually change your direction.
Oh.
So different combinations of pushing left and right or pushing up while you're going right
Okay.
can manipulate a lot of things, and so you got enough ways of pushing buttons that you can find a combination that gives you the right RNG.
So there's lag like while you're stepping, like?
There is, but there are frames where it affects the RNG, unfortunately.
Okay.
So here, another complex fight. This is 4-on-3, so that first round in particular, a lot of things have to go right. We have to fight a couple flamers. Again, I don't know why everyone's giggling. Ope and Mara-Nar are dead. We just cast Expel. That's coming in really handy. We just killed off the main guy. And Expel! But poor Mara-Nar are dead. We're going to leave them dead for the rest of this task.
Now, expel, you don't get experience for the enemies that you expel,
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
That is a downside, but we get, we got a lot of boss fights. We get plenty of levels.
Okay. I mean,
Plus,
is it
we
a
don't wanna-
downside, or do we not want to level up? I mean, that would make it
We
an
actually,
upside.
we want the hero to be pretty good leveled,
Okay.
but not too leveled.
And Hector doesn't
so
level up, right?
there-
So.
Hector won't level up since he's an NPC, so he can stay alive.
Okay.
We didn't need to kill him off, and killing off characters does take a little time, but then it saves the time because they're not leveling up. So now, we finally get Taloon on the party, and we get the very long epic music.
Again, and since there's so many characters to join, we get it for everyone who joins.
Yep.
So
But now we have a boat. That was an important thing to continue the quest. Taloon even tells us where to go, which is helpful.
Sure. We need a map. So I was gonna tell you, I've played most of the, I think all of them except 10, which was only in Japan. But I think they're even gonna make that one in the U.S. So then I'll be able to finish that up. But Dragon Quest 11 was one that I sort of got my son into RPGs playing, and he really liked that.
Yeah, it's really well done too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it kind of has this big blend of modern 3D, really beautiful graphics, and then all sorts of shout outs. Like, there's a tournament scene that has, all of the characters that were in the tournament and a lot of characters that from this, and they remixed a lot of the music, probably because Sugiyama was getting a little older and didn't have enough energy to make a new soundtrack, so they just remixed a lot of old music.
Beautiful remixes though.
Oh yeah.
By the way, a little tactic there. We stayed at the end to get magic points back to cast return. So here we go in here. We can't get in there because we don't have the final key yet, but without the final key we can still run into some metal babbles. And Hector, the NPC, doing all the work still. But with 10,000 experience, we're going to get a lot of levels here.
Yeah. Wow.
And more importantly, we're going to get a spell, I believe. This is where I could have prepped better. I don't remember which spell, but it's very critical we get one for the hero here, and that's the one of the main
outside?
reasons we're level.
Because we got
yes,
return.
it's probably outside.
Okay.
That makes sense. But we need that. Well, no, we don't need repel. We can
Nope.
repel at will. But we are trying to get some stats too. There we go. We got outside. Now Taloon, we want strength. We want stats for Taloon. That's
Okay.
important here. Hero needed outside.
Okay. So since we're
Maybe
not
some
actually in the
stats.
dungeon, even though Taloon counts as in the wagon, and so he can get experience.
Yeah. So it's weird when that does and doesn't work, but in this
Okay.
case, he is getting the experience. I think if we go downstairs and into the cave, then the wagon characters don't get experience. It's hard to say. I want to say there's a pattern to when you do or don't.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I think you're
honestly,
right.
I've never
I think-
figured it out.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we got some leveling, we got outside, we got some levels for Taloon and the hero. Well, we got more party members. So if you remember, there was Bray, Christo, and Elena. So we need to go get them in our party. And
Okay.
to do that, we need to get a gosh, what are all the things we got to do here?
The Padiqua seed.
Yes, so that we can grow the Padiqa root or whatever. There's Elena. She won't join yet. She's trying to find it. Doesn't think we're anything impressive yet. Which we're not. We're a low-level character, an NPC, and 2 ghosts. I don't know why she won't join. We're using those little things there to kind of go a little faster, which is nice. And here we're going to go get the thing that Elena couldn't find. Fortunately, we know exactly where to walk.
Yeah, you can kind of figure it out if you like look real hard and follow the, you can kind of like reverse follow the things, and
As the tasser, that's one of my favorite moments in the task, where I cast outside instead of manipulating a perfect death warp.
Oh.
For once, something was easy. End trip again, so we can do more outsides and returns. Now that we have those spells, we can get around a lot easier.
Okay.
Here, the king who's farming gets the seed. They plant it, and man, that thing grows fast. So we already have a plant, and he gives us one.
And I think that jingle is unique to this little scene.
Yeah. It kind of shows you like this game is an incredible amount of detail, especially for an 8-bit console. The amount of things they put in this game.
One of the more advanced games on the Nintendo, on the NES.
Yeah, for sure. So here we're going to get 3 new party members. Of course, we don't care about them, but the game does require us to have them. And the game is very clever with that. So we couldn't skip Tulum because we needed the ship. We can't skip these 3 because they have the magic key from chapter 2.
That's right.
So if we could skip the characters, we would skip a lot of them. But the game makes sure that you have no choice but to have them all join your party. Now, we've been alluding to this, but most of these characters are going to end up dead, and we're not going to use them. The only characters that are going to be alive shortly are the hero and Tulum. And we're going to find out who the real hero is by the end of this task. Hector leaves us now. He's like, this is getting too crowded, but he leaves the horse and carriage, so that's
But
good.
he was sort of like carrying us for so...
Yeah. So here, we just switched to Elena, Cristo, Bray, and just those 3. So you might be like, well, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
We're going to do a little sailing here.
It's their time to shine.
It is. Let's see what they can do.
Oh.
All right, here we go. Oh, Elena died.
Oh,
Cristo died.
Oh no.
Oh, Bray died. Oh, and who jumps out? The hero in Tulum. And so we get a fast switch to the 2 living characters.
So why do we have to actually kill them off? Just because we don't want to get experience on them?
Yeah, because they'll get experience, which will get levels, which takes time. So it's quicker to just kill them off since we won't need them anyway. Plus, if we just leave them in the wagon, they'll get levels. If we leave them with us, they have to do things.
That's right. There's some fights that have that wagon
Yeah.
presence, and then they get experience even if they're not in the party.
So there we just said, hey, why don't you guys handle this one? They get wiped out, and then we take over.
Okay.
And from here, it's going to be the hero Tulum show for a little while. Remember, we do need the hero for the Zenithian armor.
That's right. So one of the translation differences, so I've been recently studying Japanese, and I played through Dragon Warrior 2, or I guess it would have been Dragon Quest 2 in Japanese. And one of, there's all sorts of differences in translation that you can see. But one of the things is that the ghosts that follow your party when they're dead are coffins.
Yes.
In the original one.
Yeah, and that was probably one of those Nintendo censorship, like, more kid-friendly if it's a ghost.
Not necessarily kid-friendly, but American-friendly.
Maybe that. Also, like, pilgrims, they were
That's
priests.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they went from priests to pilgrims.
Yeah, I guess that would be, I don't know, less offensive.
They also
I'm not
changed
sure what they were worried about.
the houses of healing
So,
were, of course, churches.
We do need to talk about something here, which is we haven't talked about Talon. Talon can do some crazy antics.
Right.
He can, and there's a few that are in particular useful. One is he can build power, which will do nothing that round,
Okay.
but will allow him to do double damage the next round.
That's the
well,
same
that
thing we saw
includes-
Hector do, right?
Yep. But
Okay.
it actually also applies to critical hits. Another thing he can do is summon an army of merchants, which will effectively give him 3 attacks. So if he were to build up and then do the merchant army, and then the merchant army were all to do criticals, well, there we go. Build power, miss, on guard, traveling merchants, boom, boom, and boom. And then the hero attacks, and we're done.
Oh.
So that right there was 3 double damage critical hits. So effectively 6 times the critical hitting power.
Okay.
And so what we're going to find is very quickly is that Talon's pretty useful.
Oh yeah. Now, do you always get the full plate armor there?
Yeah, that is a force drop. We won't need the full plate armor for anything. I think it just sits in our inventory.
I figured.
But by defeating that boss, we get to talk to Ragnar. He's impressed. He was fighting the other characters while we did the hard work, but now he's joined the party. This will be the last time we hear this jingle.
That's.
All right, so now that we have all 4, it's time to go get some Zenithian equipment. Now, the hero, I'll say, is alive right now for one reason, and that is for the outside and return spells, which are
Okay.
just so useful. Otherwise, we would have killed off the hero in that fight as well.
Okay. It's just too hard to get Wings of the Wild. I guess there's no replacement for the outside.
Don't
spell,
worry,
huh?
spoilers, we will kill off the hero at some
Oh.
point. And then we'll revive him just in time to walk into this place we need the Zenithian equipment, and then we'll just proceed to kill him off again. And right now we have a different problem, which is Ragnar's alive. So we're gonna need to make sure we're gonna have to take care of that. But we also have Balzac 2. We got the refight here.
He's back for more.
He's back for more Balzac.
Oh, okay. We took the Sword of Malice.
Yep, we kind of snagged that from Ragnar because he's not gonna need it. So look at that critical hit on your friend and kill him off. How rude.
We're in the middle of a fight with a big boss, and we critical hit it ourselves.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey Ragnar, you want to help? And just critical hit him.
What a hero!
Now, Talon actually technically did 2 important actions there. With the boss always casts a spell as their first action,
Okay.
but Talon can shut its mouth so the spell doesn't work.
Oh.
Effectively the same thing as a miss, right?
Okay.
So he did that, but he still gets to have his turn, which was his summoning the army to do double damage critical hits and kill off the boss in 1 round.
That's got to be a pretty low percentage play.
It's incredibly low and takes an incredibly long time to manipulate that.
Wow.
Also, it's one of those times where in those 3 hits, you got to get them all in one shot for the most part. There's no opportunity to do anything other than delay frames between each of the 3 attacks. So you
Okay.
kind of have to do the luck manipulation up front, which is a 1 in 64 times 1 in 64 times 1 in 64.
Oh wow.
All right, that damage tile, there was an example of why we do need some HP. That took 15 points of damage. All right, so at this point we have everyone killed off except the hero and Talon, and no one else will be revived for the rest of the game because we don't need them. What are we doing now? Unfortunately, this is the fastest route here. This is a very big world. We're gonna get the shield next.
Right. Yeah, we got to get all the Zenithian equipment.
Yeah, so the magic, we have the magic key. We got that right before the Killian fight. So that allows us in here.
So 5 and 6 are also in this like Zenithian trilogy where you have to, and all of them have like Zenithian castle and the Zenithian equipment, and it's always you've got to find the hero and equip the Zenithian equipment. And but the catch in 5 is that your main character is not the hero. He actually like tries on the Zenithian helmet, and they say like, "Oh, it doesn't actually fit. And you can't be the hero."
It's a great twist.
Yeah.
So there we got the Zenithian armor. I think it's the one. Here's a fact that I think very few people know about this game, and I learned the hard way. So I think it's the shield, but it might be the armor. But I think it's the shield. It had to be the shield. The shield actually protects you from critical hits from the enemy.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think I've ever read that, but I had a situation where I had it on and I was trying to get a critical hit from the enemy to take out the hero and all that, and it didn't work, and I couldn't get it to work. And it was only after unequipping it that I was able to get that outcome.
That's interesting. I did not know
which
that
is
either.
good, because that was kind of the problem with, Dragon Warrior 1, we know it's the Erdrick's armor, and it has way too many bonuses, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you get more than just the armor in Dragon Warrior 3, but still the armor is the one that does all the good stuff. So in this one they at least try to balance it out, and each one gives you some kind of advantage.
Okay.
But that's one that I don't think's documented anywhere.
Huh.
So here we get caught stealing. Someone stole and ran out and accused us. So we're gonna go to jail. Now, one of our 3 characters has to stay in jail. Can you guess which one of them we're going to keep in jail?
I guess it would have to not be Talon. But wait, it can be a ghost?
It can be, yeah.
We're going to leave this ghost or this coffin of our guy.
This queen seems perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, sure.
So put one of them in jail. Oh, they put the ghost in jail. They just happened to pick that one.
Nice.
So that helps us out. That's an annoying ghost to have to carry around. So we can go back to just the 2 of them. So this next thing is a pretty long, uneventful cave. Of course, with luck manipulation and I get encounters, and then we'll fight Bakor in order to get the armor.
Cool.
Or is it the shield? Yeah, we just. All right, I'm losing track of which one's which.
Awesome.
Maybe,
so, do you have any other task projects going on right now? Or anything you're thinking about?
Several I'm thinking about. Mostly ones I've done in the past that have been improved. That I think can still have some improvement potential. But as far as new stuff, there's the TurboGrafx 16 has the Bonk series.
Oh,
that's one of the few remaining game series that I've always wanted to do a task of and just haven't for various reasons. So at this point, I think my to-do list is just what are the things I've always wanted to do.
Okay. I know you have a goal to do a task on like every system.
Yes, and that's been difficult because my other side project is supporting re-recording on more and more platforms, which is going against my goal of having one on every platform. So those 2 goals are fighting each other. So I'm sure I'll do more on different systems. But the other thing I want to do is just there's still some games that have nostalgia value to me from when I was a child that I still haven't done. But I recently did one which is Lode Runner, which is probably I think the 3rd video game I ever owned.
Okay.
And it was just random. An older brother of mine bought it. Just doesn't know video games. Like, here, how about this one?
Yeah.
And it's a really good game. And I'd recommend. The task ended up being completely insane and beyond what I thought I was gonna do, which is one of my favorite things. Outcomes of doing a task.
Yeah.
Darn.
It's always fun when that happens. You start thinking, oh, okay, I can make. There's a few places that can be. A little more optimized than a person could normally do. And then you find some stuff that's like, whoa, there's something really cool we could do here.
Yeah. I mean, this one especially too, it's like, okay, well, I'll do some critical hits, that'll be good, and it's like, oh wait, but you can also make people miss. That agility seed is forced.
Okay.
We don't really need it, don't believe. We theoretically could need it if it could be the threshold in order to take first action in one of the later fights.
Oh.
But I don't think the math works out that we're 3 away.
Yeah,
Any
you
of
probably
those.
just get more agility and your level ups or something.
Right. Now there's only so much you can get from that. There is a
Okay.
max for each one. All
And
right,
how
so
are
we
you
just
gonna wait
cast
till they
out-
take out the?
Not even wait.
We'll just.
What's amazing though
Meet you
is
there.
they're not even left yet. We cast outside and return, and yet they still beat us there. It's pretty amazing. Those are some fast guards. So here, they're going to give us the final key as a reward, so we can go get our person out of jail, which we don't care about. It's a ghost. But it'll also allow us to go get some Zephythian equipment, which is our real goal.
Roosevelt. Yeah, so this is like the castle of all women.
Yes.
But then it still doesn't matter. So in this game, you can pick a female. You can pick your character, your hero, to be female, right?
Right. It doesn't change the sprite, I don't believe.
I think it changes the sprite, but it's
Oh, or no,
pretty
this one it
subtle.
does. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, the hero just discarded their clothes, so now both Taloon and the hero have discarded clothes. And notice we don't. Remember, we're supposed to get our friend out of jail.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah,
We'll
we
just
don't
leave
bother
him.
with that.
We don't need him. Poor Ragnar. I mean, he's dead anyway, but like
Yeah.
his ghost
We have
is
no
just gonna be
intention to
haunting.
revive him. Yeah. His ghost
Wow.
is just stuck in jail. Poor Ragnar. Now here we're gonna, I think, is where we stop and take a little detour and get something important. No, okay, so maybe this isn't. This is an actual plot point. We're gonna go get the gas cannon. Oh no, we're just hitting the return point. We'll come back later for that. But eventually we'll get the gas canister and have a hot air balloon. But first we got to take a detour because
Oh,
there's something here that might be of use.
now that we've got the final key.
The Sword of Decimation.
Nice.
But oh no, it's cursed.
And we equipped it.
Yeah, Taloon just equipped a cursed item and is now cursed.
So what does that
so-
curse do?
So I think there's some actions that you can't do because you're cursed, but the main one is I think you'll randomly miss with the Sword of
Oh.
Decimation.
Okay.
You'll be randomly frozen, but it's a very powerful weapon.
Let's see.
So with the right luck manipulation, we can utilize its power of being an incredibly high attack weapon and also never miss. But of course, we have to do more luck manipulation, more botting, more scripting.
Huh.
But this one will save a good amount of time. So now that Taloon has the Sword of Decimation, Taloon's set, and we'll see in the next fight the dramatic difference this makes, because we're talking about one of the highest attack weapons in the game, plus double damage, plus critical hits, plus getting 3 of them per turn.
Wow.
So at this point, Taloon can kind of take it from here. The hero isn't going to participate much in dispatching of enemies because Taloon can one round even the top tier enemies.
As long as we need someone to cast outside and return. He's
Yeah,
gotta-
seriously, at this point, if Taloon had outside and return, the hero would be dead.
Yeah.
Taloon would have killed him off. Taloon would be like, well, I don't need you. I've got this. We'll just go solo. So the point of this game is to work together and hopefully use all 8 of the heroes and their abilities and collect weapons and armor to hopefully use all 8 on the final boss, and you'll need it. In theory. Here, we're just gonna go solo at some point. Now, solo challenges are a thing in this game for the
Oh, yeah?
people who are, have too much time on their hands, I guess.
That is pretty
and are
crazy.
masochistic. But I think solo hero is possible, and maybe solo Elena, I want to say. But you know, solo is pretty much near impossible even at top levels.
Yeah.
Even if you level up to 99. And then duo quests, there's some like Christo Nara is theoretically possible if you're willing to spend the rest of your life leveling. Here, you know, not only that, we're going to be severely under-leveled.
Okay.
Alright, so plot point here is we got the Staff of Transform, which we are going to use to turn into monsters to sneak into the monster lab.
Okay.
I mean, the monster castle and get some intel.
Uh,
And to do that, we're going to use this giant statue that's apparently mechanical, and we're going to walk across something. Walk across a river.
that's right. And we had to use the final key to get in here.
Yes. So again, that's not skippable, but it isn't anyway because you get it in order to get the Zenithian equipment, which isn't skippable either. And we just jumped out of its eyeball onto its hand, like you do. Man, we should almost be there.
Nice.
Yeah, here we are. This is the control room for the giant statue.
Colossus.
And we get some wonderful 8-bit animation here. Wow. And now that we're across, we need to leave, so why not just jump out?
Yeah.
No. There are no consequences from falling in this game.
There's no cloak of wind or... I mean, even Dragon Quest 2, you could fall without the cloak. It's just that the cloak lets you, like, sort of travel a little further. But yeah,
Now,
none of the
there
Dragon Quest games kill you for... Yeah.
No consequences. So in here, there's an Aeolus shield.
That's
There
right.
is a potential time saver here that one of the final bosses is 3 dragons that you can insta-kill with it.
That's right. It
but
casts
it's-
Expel? and
yeah.
use it?
Or they use it, or when they cast a spell, I can't remember how that works. You use
Okay.
it, no, you use it and it can, like, expel them, basically.
Oh. Wait,
Though
don't
I
we
think
have
you
the-
even get the experience. But the problem is, okay, so we got our intel, we turned into a monster, we got our intel, and then we returned out of there. Yeah, so it's actually slower to do that because it's behind, I think, 5 doors. So by the
Oh.
time you go out of your way to get it, go through all the 5 doors, we could have just killed the enemies anyway. So
I see.
it ends up being slower, but it was something considered for this task.
Wait, can't you just revive the hero and have him cast Expel?
Well, in this case, those enemies aren't expellable from the spell. That's only from the shield.
Oh, okay. So the shield effect
yeah.
is somewhat different from the spell, huh?
Yeah, so it would make for a faster boss fight, but not so much faster that it's worth grabbing the shield. Even though
Okay.
we're right there.
Huh.
It ends up being a little bit slower. It's kind of unfortunate because that's a cool strategy, but
Yeah.
is what it is. Sometimes the faster strategy isn't the interesting one. So here we go into this cave. There's monsters hanging around. If you talk to them, you'll get around. You'll have to battle them.
Key.
But I think here, we got a lot of walking to do. Maybe we want to take a 1-minute break. But
Yeah,
when we get
actually,
near
that's
the
a good
boss,
time.
that's when we'll have plenty to talk about.
Okay, we'll take another minute and a half here.
Hey folk, no donations to read out at the moment, but I suppose I can tell you a bit about why we're here. We are here in support of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building better lives for the millions of Americans affected by mental illness. Reports indicate that people are increasingly impacted by mental health conditions. 1 in 5 live with a mental health condition, so chances are you or someone you know is affected. NAMI needs your help to continue to expand their reach and help the people who need them most. and you can learn more at nami.org.
Alright, so I guess here we got our first mini fight. And oh, self-kill again. The hero attacked himself and took him out.
I guess he's served his purpose.
So this is another sad moment in the game, that it was faster for the hero to kill himself. I really wanted Taloon to finish him off. So Taloon now is solo, and let's see how he goes. 400, 448, and then just 152, because why not? And he's dead. So we just one-rounded S-Turk.
That's amazing,
solo.
yeah. That guy normally takes, normally you're at this forever.
Notice we got some intelligence there. It was 2, because the game had decided, you get high enough level with Taloon, and the game decides you do need intelligence. You can't, it's like the minimum is like 2 to 4 or something like that. Really annoying since he doesn't make use of any of it. So now they're all freaking out because the hero killed S-Turk. Of course, the hero apparently is Taloon, because we don't need the actual hero. He was good for some spells, but he didn't. What did he really contribute? Now we do have a logical problem here, which is that the hero will need to be alive to get into the Zenithian castle. Again, we got what we needed. The hero's dead, so we're going to have to do a death warp. The later we get in the game and the more under-leveled we are, the easier those death warps are. So,
okay.
That enemy just regular attacked for way more HP than Taloon had. But that is important to note, that HP management for Taloon is really complicated here, because we want it to be low to kill him off quicker, but it needs to be high enough because later there's going to be a lot of damage tiles.
Okay.
So we need to make sure he has just enough HP to get through those. And without the hero to heal him, no heal spells, it takes a lot of advanced planning.
Okay. And we have to stay at the
All
end
right.
sometimes just to get our MP back anyway.
Yeah,
Oh, but-
so in that case, the inn was required, or this guy doesn't give us... he needed time to make the balloon. You can't just instantly make a balloon. You need a whole
I
day.
see.
Oh wait, the hero's alive now. I actually missed
That's
when
right,
that
yeah.
happened.
The hero's alive and Taloon is dead. Because after the death warp, the hero comes back, but no one else does.
Yeah. Right, now I remember. That's coming back to me. So now that's going to be... so now we have a different problem, which is our best fighter is dead. So we traded one problem for another. I remember now. So Death Warp, now we got the hero, so we can do returns and outsides, which is nice.
Yeah.
But we will have to find the fastest way to get Taloon alive again before we have another major boss fight.
Okay.
So unfortunately, this is required. We have to go in the castle to hear about a jester.
We don't actually have to take the challenge. You just have to talk to this guy.
Well, we do, but unfortunately we have to go know about him to go find him,
Okay.
then take him back. So unfortunately there's, going into the castle twice is required. So now we're going to the town where Panin is. Panin being one of my favorite characters, just because you could tell they took the Dragon Warrior 3 goof-off idea and turned it into a character that wasn't useless.
I don't know.
Alright,
It almost
so-
feels like Taloon is part goof off and part
Yeah, that's
merchant, 'cause
true.
He's
They
got
mixed
crazy
in
stuff.
all those abilities. Now here's the thing: we need. So now we take a little detour. We need to get the sword,
Okay.
and the reason we're going now is because this is a world tree, which means every step that has leaves is a leaf of world tree, which revives characters. So, yay, we got Taloon back.
Nice.
But now we have a different problem, which is that pesky hero is alive, and he'll be leveling if he stays alive. So we're gonna have to kill him off again too.
But
So
while
that's
he's
why we go
alive-
here before. So we get the sword before the helmet because we can revive Taloon all along the way.
Okay. So he's gonna be able to cast Return now that he's alive.
Right. And so we'll keep them alive as much as we need to cast outside in return. Once we no longer need that, then the hero will take a tragic death, and we'll beat the game solo Talon.
Okay.
The real hero.
Now, I noticed you never changed the battle tactics from normal. Does that affect Talons at all?
You can get him to do everything you need on normal, and the other ones, I'm not really sure. I think I don't think they affect him. But regardless, we get everything we need without taking the time to change battle tactics. He has a chance of doing all the things that you need him to do. All right, so unfortunately, we pick up an NPC here, and I lied earlier. We do hear this jingle one more time. And that's no choice. They are inconveniently blocking us from the treasure chests we need, so we have to pick them up.
Gotta get all the Zenithian stuff.
Yeah, so then we have the sword, armor, shield, and the only thing left is the helmet.
And I noticed we've kind of routed it around differently. Like, you went all the way to... So we went to the town where the helmet was, and then we went to the tree to get the sword, and now we're going to go get Panon.
Right.
So,
also, day-night matters with these things. So, like, for instance, it needs to be daytime, or else Panon would be performing, and he's not going to come with you yet.
Okay.
So the day-night cycle also plays a part in the routing.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, there's so many different things to go with this routing, isn't there?
Yeah, it looks so easy when you watch it, but a lot went into getting that right. And a lot of trial and error, a lot of redos when you get somewhere and you're like 3 squares away and it's night from it being daytime, and you're like, no.
So when you run your optimization scripting, does it count up the re-records?
No. So one of the few manual things. Oh yeah. No, I turn off the bot re-record counter. I kind of wish I'd kept it, but it would have probably buffer overflowed the re-record counter.
Yeah.
So an easier one-on-one battle that's just one round, I would say probably is a good 20,000 attempts minimum.
Okay.
And the harder ones go into the hundreds of thousands. So there we had time to kill, so we went and walked around, because, why not? Yeah. We just dropped an item we don't need, because our inventory can fill up. Some other interesting things we do is it's important to do things like drop an inventory item now before we get something. Well, I guess not this one, but sometimes you gotta drop things before you get something you'll use so that it's higher in the inventory, so you don't have to push down as much.
Makes sense.
Saves 2 frames a slot, but, we care about those 2 frames. Alright, so Panon did his job of telling a joke, and now he's done. I think, so we're done acquiring NPCs, and we're done acquiring items, because we have all of the Zenithian equipment. So now we're gonna head for the tower, where we'll go up to the castle and we'll talk to a dragon. All of which is required.
Also some frames in, like, when the items are displayed in your inventory, or does it all get displayed at once, or is it like a frame by frame display of the items?
So that's a good question. It actually doesn't save any frames to have less inventory, because the empty slots also scroll. Like, the menu's always the same size.
Okay.
So it's the same number of frames.
Okay.
And they go row by row, not letter by letter. But the text is letter by letter, which, by the way, is why we picked A at the beginning. If we had picked...
Yeah.
If we had been stylish and let's say I put my name in, those are valuable frames on every action that includes the hero. So...
Yeah, we always pick, like, one letter... And that goes for, like, speedrunners, too. And then, like, you play in a marathon event, and, you have your name decided by charity donation, and you've got to get used to playing with the name again.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, that was a criticism early on in TAS, is that they should put in a good name and be stylish. But my argument is, hey, I put in my first letter, so it
Yeah.
just happens to be A.
Just picking one letter is still,
Yeah, and I'm not picking just A because it's the fastest. It is the first letter of my name, so.
In Dragon Warrior 2, your character's name actually influences the RNG, and so the one character you pick has to also controls what your other two characters who get.
Oh, by the
sort
way,
of random
this is
names.
why the hero is required to be alive with all the Zenithine equipment right there, and equipped. So.
That's right. Yeah, if you don't have it equipped, it's kind of like, sorry.
Yeah, so the later you'll see the hero unequip, and that's how I learned about the shield, is that I didn't want to unequip because that takes time. We'll just make sure the enemy gets a critical hit, or Taloon gets a critical hit, or whatever. But you can't, like Taloon or the hero attacking the hero still can't get a critical hit on the hero if they have the shield equipped. So I learned that the hard way, or otherwise that would have been faster to just do critical hits and kill him off instead of unequipping, so he's defenseless. So it actually is has strategic purpose in the TAS. A negative one. I had to learn that in a very painful way, but the shield does protect you from critical hits.
Okay.
So all four of them, I think, do something. I think the helmet is about status spells. The armor heals you, but between all four, you've got some absurdly overpowered equipment.
Nice. Yeah. The
Which
hero,
is
it always
just how
seems like they
Dragon
get more
Warrior always
powerful.
is.
Yeah, and then you get up to the dragon, and the dragon blesses you with which I think you skipped. Did you talk to the dragon?
It's been a while, but I do believe I skipped it because again, that would give us a very powerful sword.
That's right.
If we were inclined to use it.
Yeah. We already said the hero's not useful, so.
Yeah. So and that is actually the problem. Is we're about to get to. We'll have 4 boss fights to get into the castle to do the final boss, and the final boss has 7 forms. All of which have to be done in one swoop, but the reason for that is the intent was that you're going to need all your characters. Some are going to die, and you're going to have to swap them in or sub them in and out. Things like you're supposed to be thinking about your whole party, but we got a different plan, so we're just going to go solo. Taloon's like, you guys, I got this. We'll leave Ragnar in jail as a ghost. Kill the hero several times and just go at it alone. So that is one of the challenges here, is that so we do have the hero alive. So one of the boss fights does have 3, like it's a boss with 3 forget the name of the enemy, but 3 side enemies that are expellable.
Okay.
So it doesn't, speed wise, it doesn't matter which 4 you do or which one you do first, but we're going to go for that one first to go ahead and use expel while the hero's alive and useful. That will expel off the 3 enemies, and then we should see the hero. It's just a question of, does the hero be the hero by bravely sacrificing himself in the name of frames, or does Taloon just kill off the hero of the story?
That's
take all the
heroic
glory?
in a way.
My preference is for Taloon to kill off the hero, just the extra style. It's like, oh, we don't need this guy. So here we're unequipping. Otherwise, it's hard to kill off a hero because you can't critical.
Yeah, I wonder if you could, if you had another shield and you could give it to him.
So here,
there you go. Okay.
The expel.
So that's the expel.
Taloon was building power. And he keeps covering the. Okay, so the hero was at least heroic in his death.
Yep.
He's like, I sacrifice myself to the almighty frame, and he's out. Taloon takes care of the enemy in 1 round. That enemy, by the way, does cast spells. There's no way around it. It is slower. Like, if they could attack and miss, it would be faster. But there's no way to manipulate that. Also, that was an incredibly unlikely first round for the hero to go. Like, none of the characters he expelled could go first. The hero had to go, and then I forget the exact order, but it was very frustrating to pick the order, and the order set the moment you do your last action. Like when you click attack, it's set in stone. So you have to manipulate that, and then not only do you have to get the perfect fight, then everything has to go right. These are the enemies that the shield could kill off. But as you can see here, yeah, we'll just take that one out. They'll miss.
Okay. So the merchants, the traveling merchants, it's like a group attack.
Yeah, it's a triple attack basically. It's incredibly rare that it happens, but of course we do it whenever we want. And so this fight is pretty slow in comparison to an insta-kill with a shield. But getting the shield takes more time than that fight was. Yeah. It was a pretty quick fight. So at this point, we gotta, if we're keeping track, Taloon is under level, he is soloed, and he is cursed.
That's right. We still have that cursed sword equipped. No, if the hero was alive, could they cast outside?
I don't believe outside works there. Also, we want to save a few squares there, so we'll take damage.
Yeah.
But then Taloon now is almost out of HP, as well as under level, solo, and cursed. But that's okay. We'll be fine.
Sure.
So we're going to take care of this enemy.
Yeah, that's another one.
His mouth, builds power, and then here we go.
Okay.
400.
So this is where you didn't have enough agility to go first.
We didn't even need the third on that one.
Okay.
We just did 900 damage in 2 attacks. The Sword of Miracles is required. A forced drop, and normally Taloon's best weapon.
Okay.
But we have something better. We have a cursed weapon instead. So if it wasn't for the strategy of getting the cursed weapon, that's a big moment for Taloon, that you can equip that and do mega damage, but it's actually weaker than the Sword of Decimation. So here, again, strategy is important because we're about to hit a lot of damage tiles. Well, eventually here. We had to solve that little puzzle. Now we gotta solve this puzzle. And look at all this damage.
Whoa.
But we made it. And this is the 4th of them. And notice we're going to use medical herbs. So the medical herbs we got from the Elena tournament fight we're using right now.
Nice.
So they came in handy. Those are actually max rolls too. We get the full 30 hit points from each one. Those are manipulated. And between each one, giving us 30, we have just enough to there we did a different thing to actually trip
so what was up with that tripping?
Well, the tripping is necessary because instead of attacking and missing, he'll get defensive and go on guard.
Oh.
And then your attacks don't do very much damage, so we got to avoid that, we could do the tripping. So there we go, we hit all those damage tiles.
Okay.
And we have just enough hit points to survive. I don't know how many we have right now, but I think we're going to hit a couple more swamp tiles.
Okay.
And we'll see at the final boss, but it's less than 30 hit points that he has. So we'll go up against the boss with very low HP, very low levels, solo, and cursed. And the boss has no chance.
Of course.
Oh yeah, it's 2 more damage tiles. So again, making sure he leveled up with enough hit points so that the end trips filled him up to enough. But we also had to kill him off, so we don't want too many too soon. And the thing that saves the day is those 3 medical herbs you get from the Elena tournament fight.
And I noticed you had to actually transfer them and then use them, because you can't just use them directly from a character that's ghosted.
But you can transfer them from a character that's in a wagon, not even in the building you're in.
Oh, yeah.
That's no problem, but hey, the fact that they're dead, come on. You can't just do that. All right, so we're coming up here on the end boss real soon. This is the final castle. It is a bit of a maze with some elevators. You gotta account for that. Normally there would be some very dangerous monsters in here you'd have to fight your way through. There's a dead guy.
Too. There's no response. It's just a corpse.
Yeah.
It's like it's a famous quote in Japan.
Oh, there's another one. He's actually a different one, I think. No, no, it's the same one, but yeah, I see what they're doing. That's the top of the elevator. You had to use the elevator to get it down so that you go across the top. You need to use your imagination to see what's happening there.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. The final walk. A couple more damage tiles there. And this is where normally you would call the Baron's Horn to bring in your entire party so that they all can participate. But again, they're all dead and we don't need them anyway. So here we go, the final fight. And Taloon is, yeah, okay, 38 hit points for Taloon. Actually, I think then that is a slight error that another reason why I want to improve it is I used one too many medical herbs. Should have been 8 hit points. But there we go. Trip. Okay, so that's where Taloon trips, but accidentally gets a critical in his tripping. It's another one of his antics.
Yeah.
But here we go. 480, 450, and then there 126 because we could just do a regular attack.
This is where you've got all the different phases. So each one of these is actually like gated.
Right.
And since you get enough damage on the phase, like before he goes, he never actually gets his turn.
Right. Oh, but we got our building up power there, so
okay.
That was important. So we actually did get to finish the round, even though he changed. And it kind of saves us a round. Now here's something interesting. We're in the middle of the merchant army attack. He changes phases, but those attacks will continue.
Oh.
There we go. So we get a couple. Well, one more on that. And here we go, more traveling merchants, and take that one out. A lot of phases on this boss. Alright, now he's got to grow uglier legs. We do have to wait for this enemy. This is a terrible spot to have to bot too, because you have to bot before and after it. So the scripts take a really long time to run each iteration. So you get, even in fast forward, you're getting, instead of one iteration, like 60 a second, you're getting like 1 a second.
Oh, wow.
All right, so here we go, final boss, and
we build up power. Traveling merchants come out of nowhere.
460, and then just 100. We don't even need to critical the last one to kill off the final form. And that's it. Oh, one of the manipulations there is the boss that and the final form does have a random amount of hit points.
Oh.
And we do manipulate the on the lower range so that we don't, because otherwise we'd have to do a third critical, which would take time to show the critical hit message. So to save an extra second, the boss just has less hit points. Okay.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing in other Dragon Quest games.
Here, we get back and the hero's alive. And then he revives everybody, so now everybody gets to take part as heroes. Bray, you did so much. So they're all alive and happy,
and apparently Ragnar sprung from jail.
Yes, sprung him from jail. Everyone's alive, and they all get credit for saving the world. Really, though, Taloon did all the work. And that's it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this. This was really cool because, we haven't, we haven't heard a lot from you, and it's this. I feel like TASGiving, it's not just a cool way to show off the RPGs. It's also kind of an outreach for the TAS community to kind of get out there and engage with other people on stream. And so I'm really glad that we got to talk with you today.
No problem. This was fun.
Yeah.
was good refreshing my memory on this task too. It's been a few years since I thought about it, so
Yeah.
forgot a few of the details.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience at in?
Well,
it's going to be about a week. Well, no, like I guess almost like a week and a half from now is going to be TASGiving.
Just I'm sure you'll plug it plenty of times, but there's TASVideos.org. We got a great community, some good people. We work on TASs, we talk about them. We have a Discord, and if you're interested in making TASs, we got some good documentation, some good emulators, and a good group of people that are willing to help out.
That's right. Yeah, it's we kind of talked about how complicated it is, but there's lots of other games that like aren't that complicated, and some games have been.
Don't do this one if you're interested in making
Yeah,
TAS.
maybe not.
This is the one I've spent the most time on by far. But there is plenty out there, and plenty of games that have no TAS.
And there's
maybe
other
some
games
with
that
very
have
little
all sorts of
information.
different variations that
Yep.
are possible and fun, even if any percent has been grinded out to so many times.
Yep. There's different categories, and actually we've been undergoing some changes on the site with rules that are trying to expand to more types of games, but also more categories for those games, so that we can do some of those odd challenges for a game. We would be in a situation where we could start accepting and publishing those.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's a great time to get started in TASing.
Absolutely.
And the emulators are so much friendlier to use now than they used to be.
Yes. I was talking about Fantasia.
That's right, yeah.
It's come a long way since then. So I guess I'll plug that too while I got time. BizHawk is the emulator that I work on.
That's right.
It's often associated with TAS videos, but it's just an emulator. You can use it for casual play and just fun. But given that I'm one of the authors of it, it definitely has the good tasking tools, and that's kind of what I'm in it for, is to make sure it is the most user-friendly possible for making tool-assisted runs for submitting on the site.
In fact, that's what we're playing on this, but that's what we're watching now.
Yeah. Yeah, I used BizHawk for this task. If anybody's wondering that's a strange name for an emulator, you're right, it is. So a little backstory for that is early on when we were working on it, it was 3 of us kind of working on it. We kind of wanted to keep it underground, but we still wanted open source, and we wanted like an IRC bot to like integrate with knowing when people commit, but we wanted to kind of fly on the radar, so we had a code name. We would try to think of something really businessy that would be boring so no one would notice, and so we went with BizHawk, and it worked. No one knew what we were doing. No one noticed that was an emulator.
That's awesome.
But then when it came time to officially release it, announce it, and we did want to make it public, we'd been calling it BizHawk for so long, we were like, I don't know, we'll just keep it BizHawk. So out of laziness, the name BizHawk was born as a very strange name.
It's not much worse than like FCUX, which
that's true.
I don't even know what FCE stands for.
Well,
Famicom.
Yeah, it was something like Famicom Computer Emulator. I think I got that right. But then someone made a fork of that and made the Ultra version, so we got a U. And then I was one of the founders of FCUX, which was that there were a lot of forks of FCU with lots of debugging tools, task tools, and we wanted to unify all these forks into one emulator that had all the features. So what did? We put an X. So the acronym absurdity just kept going.
So I guess that's another kind of side part of the community, which is maintaining these emulators and the tech in the emulators. There's also we have people that comment on the videos, and some people that are just like helping out on the videos, encoding videos to put on YouTube?
We have a good community. If you're just interested in tool-assisted movies and don't want to make them but feel like you want to contribute, yeah, if you got coding skills, there's emulator and website work for forever. There'll never be it'll be forever work there. But also, it just really helps that we have a submission process, and
Awesome, yeah.
getting feedback in that submission process really helps. So comments about if you enjoyed watching the video, there's a voting system, give it a vote. Getting that audience participation really helps us like find the best content for the site, and it's a great way to contribute.
Cool. So TASGiving, I'm looking forward to this. It's gonna be a lot of fun. There's gonna be some other pre-recorded content, and I guess this is the first one that I'm doing. I might do some other pre-recorded ones, but it's almost now that I'm doing this, it almost feels like TASGiving's already started. And
It does. But yeah, this was fun.
yeah. So yeah, I hope that we'll keep doing TASGiving and get some more runs and have a lot of we're gonna have a lot of live conversations, and some of them will include the TAS authors, and so that's always fun. At TASGiving last year, I actually had multiple cases where I was like my TAS and I had the world record speedrunner, and we were both like talking, and this is like having the two of us on one commentary is also kind of in a different way also pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool too, to see the speedrunner perspective.
Yeah.
This one might have been interesting to have a speedrunner perspective, but this one differs so heavily from the speedrun.
Oh yeah, this is
in
pretty...
very dramatic ways. Not the least of which is an hour. Was it an hour? Was it hour 56 time? I forgot the exact.
Something like that. Yeah.
Sub 2 hour, and then the world record speedrun, I believe, is somewhere in the high 5 hour mark.
Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty long.
Yeah, it's dramatically different, and the strategies you have to do, and of course it's also a very painful speedrun because you get about 4 hours in, get some bad luck, and reset.
Yep. I think the marathon route is maybe like 7 hours, and the world record is 5 something.
Right.
But I'm not that familiar with speedrunning this game. I've seen some people do it. It's impressive.
That's one of my favorite moments in TASing, though, is when you see the speedrun route differ so drastically from the TAS route. When the TAS is able to demonstrate all these things that just aren't even feasible to put in a speedrun. And that difference is something that keeps shrinking every year. It's amazing what speedrunners have been able to do.
I'm constantly amazed with that, yeah.
I don't know how many times someone's asked me, like, for a TAS, like, well, what about this trick? And I'm like, yeah, but that's TAS only. A couple years later, they're doing it, and it's standard. I mean, I honestly believe no human could do that, and humans are doing it, so...
Yeah.
I never say never now.
On Dragon Warrior 2, I upgraded the TAS recently, got an improvement, and that one actually has no resets, and so TASBot can play it. And we're going to we were planning on presenting it for RPG Limit Break 2020, which of course was canceled and canceled again for 2021. But next year, we're kind of expecting there will be a live RPG Limit Break 2022 that we can take this to, and it'll be TASBot's first outing playing a Dragon Quest game or Dragon Warrior game.
Oh, really?
On the console, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. We'll have to get more of them in there.
Yeah. I think Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior 3 should be doable on TASBot. But we need to get the right run.
Yeah, because the RNG is much more stable. You could do that one. This one isn't going to happen, but...
yeah.
The day that TASBot can do this one, things have drastically changed. I don't think, well, first of all, this one wouldn't do it probably just because you would have to have a theoretically perfect emulator. Well, not even theoretically, it'd have to actually be perfect.
Yeah.
And even then, it's down to cycles, which can fluctuate with things like heat. So, but yeah, 1, 2, and 3 should be feasible for TASBot. So I'd be excited to see them.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot for joining us. And this has been, I'm the Axeman, and this is Adelikat, the author of the TAS and the administrator for TAS Videos. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, glad I can make it.
Yeah.
It's good talking to you.
Yeah, and everyone tune in for TASGiving. I guess if you're there, you're already watching it. If you're watching this video some other time, check out whatever else happens at TASGiving. I'm sure it's going to be pretty hot.